Black carbon. Black carbon, also known as soot, is made up of microscopic carbon particles which are released during the incomplete combustion of fossil fuels. What are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are buried combustible deposits of organic matter which can be converted to crude oil, coal, and natural gas. The combustion of fossil fuels is part of the carbon cycle. Complete combustion is when the carbon and hydrogen combine with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. However, incomplete combustion is when a part of the carbon is not completely oxidized, and that is soot. Soot, or black carbon, is a visible black powdery substance with a diameter of 2.5 micrometers. The source of soot is forest fires and primarily industrial sources. The United States emits 6.1% of the world's soot, while Africa, Latin America, and Asia release the biggest amount of soot in the world, with India and China alongside releasing between 25 to 35% of the total global soot emission. 25% of global warming is soot contamination.
This is the albedo effect, which is the ability for an object to reflect radiation from the sun. The higher the albedo is of an object, then the more it can reflect from the sun. The normal conditions for ice and snow combined have an albedo of 0.9, but combined with soot, it is able to lower it and increase the temperature of the area and melt.
Soot is affecting the health of humans. 6 million people in the United States live in an area with unhealthy year-round levels, like Los Angeles, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Alaska and Fairbanks have unlikely casualty of short-term particle pollution with sources like wildfires and diesel engines. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, an experiment was set to see the effects of soot in biotic beings. These were the results when testing for soot. Soot for a transformer fire in guinea pigs caused them to have salivary gland morphology. Diesel engine soot caused the rats inflammatory mediators in the brain. DNA methylation is a process where methyl groups are added to the DNA molecule. This causes the DNA segment to turn on or off specific genes, which are then translated and replicated. DNA methylation changes occur after the exposure of ambient particulate pollutants like black carbon, which alter the expression of genes. This exposes one to the possible development of malignant tumors. Another issue is haze. Haze is formed when sunlight interacts with small particles. It is a light obscuration of the lower atmosphere. Soot is the primary cause for haze. EPA estimates that visibility in national parks and other scenic areas in the eastern United States has been reduced from a 90-mile distance to just 15 to 25 miles. Haze doesn't only affect visibility, but it has an effect on one's health.
Being an incomplete combustion can carry a variety of chemicals such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and can combine with moisture to form acid rain, which worsens water quality, damages soil and crops, changes nutrient balances in various ecosystems. Coronary heart disease is a disease in which plaque builds up inside the coronary artery. It's developed in a long-term exposure to soot and begins with the buildup of plaque in damaged arteries. The damaged arteries then reduce the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the heart, causing angina. In the bloodstream, we have red blood cells, white blood cells, and cholesterol in yellow. When cholesterol comes across the damaged blood vessel wall, it begins to deposit inside the damaged wall with white cells intervening, kicking off a big inflammatory process. This then leads to and turning into plaque. The plaque will slow down the blood flow and can actually create issues such as angina and heart attacks if not treated. Another condition that breathing in soot can give a human is asthma, a condition in which your airways narrow and swell to produce extra mucus, and it's usually caused by a combination of environmental and genetic factors. The airway in a normal person's chest would look like the figure on the left. That includes smooth muscle and mucosa layer and small glands that can secrete mucus into the lungs and are there for the airway in a person with asthma is depicted on the right. Asthma that occurs in attacks constrict the muscular layer and thickens. Another illness is chronic bronchitis. What is chronic bronchitis? The inflammation of the lining of bronchial tubes, which carry air to and from the lungs. Whenever the body needs to deal with irritations, it calls upon glands that are embedded in the tissue to secrete liquid or mucus to deal with the irritants and eventually flush it out. The overproduction of mucus due to overgrowth and inflammation of glands in the bronchioles is what can make an individual exposed to black carbon develop bronchitis.
There are a few different types of renewable energy that can help decrease the amount of global warming. This is able to occur because the various uranium rods are placed with water circulating through it, and when the water heats up, it is able to pass through another section of water, which turns into smoke, which helps turn a few turbines, which generate the power. Another way is hydrogen engines, which are roughly are more efficient from a 35% for gasoline engines to a 65% for this hydrogen engines.
Thank you for learning with us about black carbon. See you next time.